Welcome to the Geeks Assembled podcast. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and it's just us three today. We've gathered here to talk about the Series 11 finale of Doctor Who. Can you believe it? It's over already. A full season of Jodie has gone. Let's jump straight into the finale. Let's see what, of course, Alex and Susan make of it. What's their opening thoughts? You guys. Yep, there's the TARDIS there. Did you enjoy this one?
Well, the Battle of Ranskoor of Kolos was cool.
Oh my God, she said it.
Yes, it's true. I know this episode is a dramatic piece of bookending to the series. It started with Tim Shaw, Zim Shaw, whatever his name is.
Tim Shaw, yeah.
And it ended with his little spaceship or whatever on the planet. And the planet had been basically completely devastated by war. And there were these two creatures on the planet who were able, there were earth benders, air benders, water benders.
The Ux they were called.
The Ux, yeah. They were able to do amazing things, and they became enslaved by Tim Shaw. And
well, they thought he was a false god, didn't they? They thought he was a god.
Yeah, they'd been enslaved by him, mind, body, and spirit, and all of their potential and their abilities have been, channeled away from healthy things and put into, doing this devastating thing. And he had planets and people in these pods, stasis pods, stenza stasis pods, whatever. And I mean, he was going to bring planets to doom, and he was going to bring people to doom, and he would have been like as bad as the other alien creatures that have doomed planets, the Cybermen, the Daleks. I have to mention them. I mean, even the vampires of old. I mean,
Yep.
All of these creatures had this tendency to take pieces of parts of the universe and tie them up and want to kill them all. And the Doctor and her companions were found really would not stand for it. And Graham had a noble sacrifice at the end where you thought that he would give him his life. He was better than that. I mean, there's something amazing about the Yaz, and Ryan and Graham's purpose in this. And but it was a good bookend. Anyway, it wasn't like a lot of super violent stuff, but it was a really rich story. And that's what I like about this series 11, is that it's a very rich story. And so that's my bit of his Alex.
But what I like about this series is I like the fact that each episode has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a proper resolution. And this episode had a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's what I like about this series. Let's go to Alex now.
Yeah, it was an interesting try. I did enjoy the fact that the team was involved, so to speak. They didn't get too violent, though, but I did enjoy when Graham pulled the doctor aside and said, I may kill me. Killed Tim Shaw. He's not a bad villain, and he does look interesting. It just didn't seem threatening enough to me. So I don't know if they're doing that on purpose to build up the series. I think they're also trying to change the series from what it was, where everything was the end of the universe and the end of the this and the that. And
Yeah, but Alex, you say he wasn't that threatening, but you've got to remember, this is still a kids' TV show at the end of the day. This is only Doctor Who.
well, it is more
You can't
dramatic.
go too threatening, can you? You really can't.
Well, I mean, it is more of a drama than a kid show now. But yeah, if kids are watching, you don't want to make it too nasty. I understand that.
Yeah.
But
There's a fine line, isn't there?
yeah, but that's the other issue too, because at least with the other seasons with the revival, there did seem to be more of a threat. But then again, some people would complain that it was throw everything at the kitchen sink and see what happens. So it's very tough because obviously, they want to change the show. They don't want to make everything constantly the end of the world. They don't want to have companions anymore that are so, demanding of the doctor's time and all that. And you can see that they did that on purpose as opposed to the other series where the companion was more of the focus. And I agree, it shouldn't be that way. It should be the doctor and the story and all that. So it's tough because on the one hand, they were trying to throw a lot of characters in, but on the other hand, you couldn't see a lot of the background or the foreground. So I felt a little cheated in that respect. Then the villain was threatening, but it wasn't threatening to scare me. That being said, I did like that Graham had enough strength and presence of mind that he didn't sink to the level or get very, very angry or things like that. So I think that's the other issue is that they're showing the challenges to the doctor and they're showing challenges to the team, but they're not losing their composure like the other series where the characters seem to have lost a little bit more of their composure. So it's tough. I wanted to like it. It wasn't bad, but again, this whole series, I didn't like every single episode the same or stronger or weaker. But as I said, we know they have to change the show. They have to keep the audience. They have to get a new audience as well. So they have to change the show. So it's not exactly the same as other doctors like Eccleston or Smith or Brennan or Capaldi. But then that's on purpose. And the show has to change. I just hope that they get either more complicated plots or better villains. But at the same point, for a new villain, he wasn't bad. I just didn't find him very threatening. And I think that probably would have added more tension to the episode. But again, that's the other thing because I don't want 10 two-parters. I don't want everything the end of the world as well. So it's tough too. It's tough when they know that the internet's going to go crazy and Facebook's going to be negative and, there's been so much stories that everything's been kind of the end of the world. So it's tough.
The world wasn't balanced at the very end of this, right?
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying is that with the other doctors since the revival, they've always had sort of a series finale, could the world end type of ambiance.
Yeah, but the world was going to end.
Right, so that's what I mean.
The standard technology was going to eliminate the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
In stasis and then vaporize it.
Okay, but then there could also be some people that would say that that's not original either.
No,
But nothing's original. Yeah, but nothing's original. This show's 55 years old.
Right, so there you go. So no matter what they do, they're not going to have, I don't know if they really have die-hard fans anymore.
Well, yes, they do.
I'm teasing.
Oh my,
I'm teasing. Relax.
oh my God!
Not after the other cast we just did. This is Wind Up Susan Day today, I think.
Oh my God!
apparently. No, and Susan, if you really like her, that's great. But at the same point, remember, she's going to be compared to other doctors.
Of course.
And some people are already saying it's a little bit of Tennant, it's a little bit of McCoy. And that's fair. I understand that. But at the same point, they have to change the character. They can't have it just be, Tennant as a woman or Capaldi as a woman. That's not going to work either.
Right.
So it's very tough.
So
Well, both of them have played women. Both of them have played women.
Yeah, but as a comedy.
But, I mean, she has a personality for crying out loud.
Yeah, I like Jodie.
No, it's not bad. But what I'm saying is, you and everybody here knows, and I bet even people watching have known.
Well, watching this? There's no one watching this, Alex.
You keep saying that all the time.
And I'm still right.
How much? Hell with you. How much shade Jodie Whittaker has gotten in her first year?
What, from the fan base?
From the internet, from Facebook.
Yeah, but it's the internet, Alex.
Yeah.
It's the internet. Russell T Davies had just as much, just it wasn't on the internet. It was in forum. It wasn't on Facebook or Twitter. It was just in a little corner of the internet.
Yeah. And again, none of the companions died like they usually did in other series. And also, as we know...
What companions have died in other series?
No, I said this time they didn't have anybody die, except for Grace.
Yeah, but what other companions died in any other series in New Who?
Well,
No companions died in New Who.
Yeah.
No, Alex, what are you on about? Alex.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. But then
No, I don't. No, I don't think you even know what he's saying.
No, but it gets rewritten. Anyway.
So it doesn't count. It doesn't count if it's rewritten.
So, as far as we know, Jodie's coming back and the TARDIS team for season 12. So to speak, season 12. Even though it's not the real series 12, it's the revival series 12. And
it's series 38. It's season 38.
Right, series 38, really.
Even though fans now want the show cancelled. Never mind.
Who said that now?
Oh, there's old fans on the internet wanting the show cancelled.
No.
So this is the other question is.
I like how Susan's really wrapped herself up license.
So that's the other question is, are they going to continue on? How many years is Jodie going to do it? And then the other question is, how strong do you think the character is if it can go on for another 5 to 10 years? Or is the BBC already planning to just keep it going as long as they feel that there's more than a 6 million audience watching it?
This is all speculation. We don't know.
Yeah. No.
All I know is that ratings are up, which the BBC will be very happy with, and that's all you can say, really.
No, but they're doing Series 12 as far as we know in 2020.
Oh, yeah, this Series 12, yeah. Series 12's been confirmed.
That's too long. I mean, geez, wait.
Well, I'm sorry.
Why can't you do it faster?
I mean, do you think this is Disney owning Marvel? I mean, come on.
Alex, it's not. It's just...
I don't know why it's taking so long.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? There's going to be 10, Spider-Man movies?
No, this isn't about Spider-Man. And they can
You winding her up again.
Yeah, I'm winding her up a little bit. No, but I mean, again.
I can tell who's the quilt hogger in your house. Who's the quilt hogger at night?
Yeah, again, it appears that they're going down to 10 as opposed to 13 episodes, right? Or 11 episodes as opposed to 13?
Yes.
Every year? Okay, so I would rather have 10 episodes done really well.
Susan, are you giving birth under there? What the hell?
I would rather have 10 episodes done really well than 15 episodes that aren't done well. And
Alex, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can I have my say on the episode now?
Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got to say, I really like this story. I like the Ux because I like the fact that they thought he was a god, and he ended up being, he was a false god, but they believed he was. He manipulated them because he pretended to be a god, which he wasn't at all. And you know, people throughout history have believed in fake gods, if you know what I mean. People saying that they're God or that they work for God and they don't. You know, so this happens all the time. I mean, in a way, you can see the parallel between how some religions like Islam get hijacked by extremists. And it's kind of the same like that. It kind of parallels that a bit in a way, is that he's manipulating them to do bad things. You know, they're peaceful people. The Ux are peaceful, but he's using them to create mass genocide.
They're not really peaceful, but they are definitely not.
They're not violent. They're not. They were just following him.
Domination. They are just,
Yeah.
you know, they're like chaos, creation, and destruction. They're earthbenders. You know, they don't have a moral affiliation.
But he manipulated them to take those planets.
Yep.
He used them as a weapon.
Yep.
So I really like that. And I also really like the conflict with Graham, where Graham had to make the choice: does he kill Tim Shaw, or does he leave him? Does he be the better man? You know, because as soon as you know, revenge is never a good thing. If somebody kills somebody you love and then you kill them for it, you sink to their level. And he did. The easy thing would have been killing him. Actually, Graham stood there. The easy thing would have been to kill Tim Shaw, but that would have ruined Graham's character. That would have destroyed Graham's character. That would have destroyed who he was, because he isn't that person. You know, because the doctor says at the beginning, you know, if you kill Tim Shaw, you can't travel with me anymore. Which I really like that. And I like Tim Shaw as well. I thought Tim Shaw had a real presence. I did think he looked menacing. The way it was shot with those pumps, and he was breathing, and it was a bit like Darth Vader, really, wasn't he? A little bit. I thought that was great. The filmography of this was absolutely fantastic. The way it looked, the way it sounded. I just love the whole thing. I think this is one of the better finales in years. It reminds me a lot as well of the series 1 finale, Parting in Other Ways, because it's very condensed, isn't it? That was on a space station. This is basically just in one building, you know, one structure. So actually, it was very similar.
Yep.
Very, very similar. So do you want to mention some favorite moments?
I'd say my favorite moment was the point where they discover that the Ux were and Jodie's and the doctor's speech at that point about the Ux being really their own creative force in the universe, which is a really dramatically empowering moment. And that's what I like about Doctor Who, is that the companions get empowered, and the people who just happen upon the Doctor get empowered and set free. And that's really the whole reason that I'm a fan. I'm convinced that is the best kind of it's the best kind of television. That's why
Yep.
I mean, all these other things have power struggles, but it doesn't have that empowering thing. And then this, the Ups got empowered, and Graham was empowered, and Jazz was empowered, and Ryan Sinclair was empowered. So, I mean, here we are walking off into the sunset again with empowered people all around. And, I mean, it doesn't have to end with, like, them being, you know, like Clara or even Dr. Donna. But it's just, like, amazing. These people become super powerful and super, you know, blessed. It's just really cool. Anyway.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're just normal people. It's not Clara the Impossible Girl or Dr. Donna or Bad Wolf. They're just ordinary people. That's what I like.
Yes.
Favorite moments, Alex?
I mean, again, I like the Doctor's dialogue. I did like Graham in a way. Tim Shaw was okay. Like I said, I would have preferred a little bit more threatening. It didn't seem to have enough energy or conflict for me. In terms, like I said, and I know they did that on purpose because they had to change it from all the other endings that they've had in the revival. I just would have liked it a little bit more threatening, I guess. Again, I know they have to change it. There's too many comparisons to be drawn. But it has a good ending. See what happens when it comes back in series 12. We'll see if they are like the fifth Doctor and they're always around, sort of a team, or if they're going to change it up. And we'll see if anybody leaves because they have other contracts to do. But again, if this is the style, it's not great. I did enjoy Capaldi, I did enjoy Bennett, but they had to change the style. And that's what Doctor Who's about, and they had to change the character. Because it wasn't going to get intense. It was getting very old hat. No, but some people could argue that.
Okay.
But I'm glad that they didn't bring back any of the old villains. That was refreshing. They had to change it a little bit. So I like it, but there were other episodes that I liked better, like Witchfinders. No, like I said, there was parts
Yes, I like
that I liked, but I just didn't. The episode didn't really grab me for itself. I like the dialogue. I like the dialogue of the Doctor, and like I said, they had to change it. And you know, it's 40 minutes, so they have to balance it with everybody else. So it's not the same long speech as like the other ones. Like I said, we'll see what they do with the New Year's Day special. We'll see what they do with Series 12. I just hope that they're able to have it be a little bit more threatening and hopefully new villains that are more dramatic. But again, it's not a bad ending, but I like other episodes more.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite moments is when she references other episodes, when the Doctor references pulling the earth and turning Margaret the Slaphine into an egg. I always like things like that, you know, where you think, oh, that's from that episode. Yeah, I remember that one. You know, I always like those moments. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think I enjoyed all of it. The only criticism that I would have is that I think that the robots could have done more. I thought the robots were a little bit useless. They could have been more of a threat, maybe. But other than that, I really liked it. I thought it's one. Thank God, no Daleks, no Cybermen, no Master. At last, we've got a series finale, which is interesting. Yeah, I liked it. So we might as well move on to final say and score.
Yeah.
Yep, Susan and Alex, what would you give it out of 10? How many Tim Shaws?
9.5 out of 10. I felt empowered. and that's why I watch Doctor Who. I love it when she empowers just normal, ordinary creatures.
Yep.
It's amazing.
I'll give it an 8. Like I said, it's not one of my favorite episodes. But as I said, I know they had to change it up. They had to change it up. At least it's new villains, it's new worlds. I didn't like the fact that they didn't include a lot of the artists in the series. But again, maybe they're trying to change from when, Capaldi and Smith kind of lived in the artists as well, and showing it all the time. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. It is good that it wasn't just a retread. It is good that they had new, quote-unquote, companions or TARDIS team. And they showed a little bit of their home life. I don't know if some people could argue that the companions actually should have more time, but then that's what I mean. It's tough in terms of showing the new character of the Doctor and the problem or the dilemma that they're faced with and all that. So that's another thing. It's really easy to criticize in many respects, whereas if they had to write it, produce it, direct it, it wouldn't be as easy as, one might think. So, like I said, I'm glad the show's still on the air. I don't want it to get canceled anytime. But again, they also have to come up with something new because it's the same, like Alan and I have said, it's not that we don't like the villains, but it was getting to the point that we saw them almost every fifth episode, and it's a little tiresome.
Yep, and I'm going to give this a 9, because I like the concept of it. I like the execution of it. I thought it was different. It's a different finale to what we usually have. It wasn't on this grand, great, big scale where there's an invasion force of Daleks or Cybermen or whatever. And I like that because it had a beginning, it had a middle, and it had an end. I thought the resolution of the episode was very good. It wasn't solved by the sonic screwdriver or anything like that. I just thought it was properly worked out. It had a proper conclusion to the story, and I've really enjoyed this whole season, to be honest. If I could rate this season out of 10, which we might as well do, I'll give this season a 9 out of 10.
Well, like I said, there's other episodes that I like better, but yeah, I would give this a 9. I'd give it a 9, and like I said, that's
The whole series, yeah.
yeah.
What about this whole series?
Yeah, that's bearing in mind that I understand that they had to change it up. They had to bring a new dimension. They had to bring new dimensions into it. They were going too many times over the same old material.
And I'll give this series, I'll give this a 9 out of 10.
Yep.
It delivered almost every single moment was great, and the only problem I have with this season series is that the bloody thing was too short.
No, amen to that.
10 episodes. I mean, come on. It was a year off and we got clapped. And that was just nothing. But this, we need this. We need Doctor Who. It needs to be a staple in our diet.
Every year.
It needs to be an every year deal. And if they can't do it budgetarily, then go back to, chintzy sets. I'd rather have the show with, on a reduced budget than I would. I'd rather have the show and have these great stories on a reduced budget than I would have a year off between series. If it's a storytelling thing, I don't know why they torture us by leaving us alone for a year. That's not even fair. And then
But Susan, I thought the idea of cutting it down to 10 episodes was so it could be on every year. I thought that was the whole idea of cutting it down to 10 episodes.
Yeah, there was, there was a bunch of stuff said in the mirror that, I don't necessarily find credible any longer.
Well, I wouldn't take any notice of the mirror.
So I would like to say that,
You're better off taking climate change advice from Donald Trump.
Oh.
if they need to make chintzy special effects, use it, spread out their budget, then do that. But if it's about storytelling, then they are torturing us, and that's not fair. And if it's about the BBC politics, then they should really work that out, because Michael Grade was villainized and is still villainized for treating the show like crap. And so if there is somebody in the BBC that is treating the show like crap, they should be properly exposed.
Do you want to know what the problem is, Susan? Do you want to know what the problem is?
I'd love to know.
The Tories want to get rid of the BBC. They have done for years. They keep slashing the BBC's budget.
So go back to making the show like you used to do, with like rickety old sets. Like just throw anything together.
Yeah, but you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you can. Yes.
We've got HD TVs now. I mean, it would a paper cup would just look like a paper cup.
You could do it.
Susie. All right. Okay.
He has to control you. Let's take it off. Let's take it off. Go on.
The TV world has changed.
Yeah.
Yes, it isn't fair that we have to wait 2 or 3 years for Doctor Who, but at the same point, it's better than it being canceled. And they can't go back to paper cups because this isn't 1969. So, and the other question is, if it looks too cheap, then they may cancel it there. They may actually help cancel it. It's a product, they want to sell it. They've upgraded it, they've updated it. Remember the years, the decades that went on that they didn't update it. You don't need 25 episodes with, 2 with the Master and 3 with the Daleks and 4 with the Cybermen. That would be going backwards. And unfortunately, that's not how it is in TV. Plus, any TV network, almost any TV network, if they don't have 7 million people watching it, they pretty much cancel it.
Yeah.
So, sadly, unless they're going to do another spin-off that we don't want Class.
No.
I've suggested other shows, but the question is, it has to be, remember, this is being sold to Amazon, to Hulu. It has to be modern. It can't be 1981 where there's 8 parts to a story anymore. It just won't sell.
Can I just pause you a minute, Alex? Susan, just leave the microphone there, Susan, and just speak towards the computer.
Yes.
I don't think that microphone's working. I think you got your computer microphone on.
I'm just talking.
Yeah. No, I don't think that mic. I don't think you've got that microphone on. I think you've got the microphone on the computer active. It's just like this. You sounded a lot more clearer when you're up to the laptop.
Oh. All right. Is that better?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's done.
All right.
Yeah. So it was activated on the computer and not on that microphone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. This is a laptop, so it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah, that's better. You sound really clear now.
So,
it sounds like you sound really far away.
Yeah. So I mean that's the other issue too. Plus, they're remaking everything, so they're wasting money on that instead of having a really good revival. And then I don't know the other BBC shows that they're doing, but a lot of them seem very reality-based, like Strictly Come Dancing, which is kind of lousy, or The Baking Show, which is okay.
It's cheap, Alex, it's cheap TV.
Right. So
It's
that's the
cheap.
other thing.
It's cheap. I mean, they don't need to pay them contestants, do they? They don't pay them anything, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, here's the other issue too. That even though it was rumored on Facebook, obviously, if you have series like Dick Van Dyke and Seinfeld and Friends, even to stream that is a lot of money. I mean, they're not going to charge just 100,000. You're talking in the millions too. So, that even Netflix is starting to realize that they may have too many series as well. Everything is so high now. It's not like the 70s or the 80s where you could do things sort of at bargain basement prices. If everything's $1 million or more, then, that really ups the ante and the expectations for a lot of TV. And if everything has to have 8 million people, even I'm getting worried as to what shows are really going to last.
Well, Doctor Who has gone. It's this year has bucked the trend because every year the series average of Doctor Who since Series 5 has gone down, but this series has gone back up. This series is up there on average with when David Tennant was the Doctor.
Right.
I'm talking about on average now, the series average, which is what the BBC will be looking at.
Right.
Because Capaldi's series average was very low, sadly.
Well, like I said, unfortunately, there was a lot of issues. He had the same villains. He had the same companion for such a long time. And the other problem was they couldn't really decide as to what his character could do.
No.
And by the time they got to it, it was almost at the end. So even though he had some episodes and he always had a Christmas special.
But the important thing was that he was empowering all across the board. Every companion was empowered. It's the reason, the show, it's the character of the Doctor was there. The character of the Doctor has never wavered, and that's the deal. That's why.
Okay, but not everybody who watches the show is diehard fans or diehard science fiction fans.
It isn't about being a diehard fan. It's about realizing the character structure of the Doctor wasn't, it hasn't changed.
Susie,
No,
I'm
the
not
Doctor's
advocating that. Right, but the BBC wants to know that they can bring in new viewers, not just diehard fans.
Oh no, they can. I think Series 11 has done that. I think, in a way, more I think less fans are watching and more new viewers are watching. I think Series 11 has got a lot more new viewers watching who will eventually turn into diehard fans.
Wow.
At some point, we were all new to this show. You were new to this show at one point. So was Susan new to this show at one point. I was new to this show at one point.
Wow.
You become a fan afterwards. You start off as a new viewer. So these fans that are moaning now about the show, they've got to understand that they were new at some point. Everybody has to start somewhere.
Okay, but the network wants a combination of both, and they want at least 8 million people watching. That's the way the TV world is now. So if it's just diehard fans, there might not be 8 million people watching a year. They might come back to it.
That was the problem. Under Capaldi, that was the problem because new people weren't watching Capaldi. New people were turned off by Capaldi. That was the problem. That's why they brought Jodie Whittaker in to get new viewers in.
I disagree. People weren't turned off by Capaldi. People were just turned off by, like they were turned on to other things. I think the ebb and flow of the show shows that it isn't. It is a product of being hyped properly. It's a product of being exciting for everyone, and there is like a center turning point at which it goes up and down and up and down, but the people didn't dislike Capaldi. I mean, there's lots of strictly Capaldi fans.
Oh no, I know there's a lot of Capaldi fans, yeah.
And there uber lots of Matt Smith fans and David Tennant fans, And you know, it is an ebb and flow, but the important thing is that this year they hyped it properly. They got the Comic-Con thing going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last year they were both with his world tour, and last series with his world tour, and then with the subtle, you know, undercutting of Peter Capaldi as a person, as the lead. They did that in the fan stuff, and they did that like in the Mirror, and they did that. They just released a bunch of junk that kind of undercut Capaldi, and that's ridiculous. I mean, that's a way to end up with a canceled show. But the BBC had control of that, and they didn't control the product well.
Okay.
And that's their fault. I mean, I really take them to task for that. I made a stupid online petition that said, you know, you take your dang, you know, you've got super powerful hands, take them off Capaldi. Don't demand that he leave before he's ready. And he wasn't ready.
No, he wasn't ready. He didn't want to go.
He was run out of town on a rail, and he was a freaking fan. I mean, he'd been a fan his whole life. Not fair.
Mm.
I mean, and so, you know, that's the nature of it. They did do a really awesome job with Jodie and Chris Chibnall. And that is, unfortunately, you know, it's the opposite of what they did with Capaldi. Anyway.
Well, again, the issue with Capaldi was the first season was actually written for Smith, so they sort of half-wasted a season with that, or a series with that. Then it was too much Clara and not enough variety. They should have added 2 more companions and gotten rid of Clara, because it was just it was bogging down the show. Then she took over. Then she was complaining. It got too heavy. And then by the time they brought in Bill, you already had, you know, a lot of Master stories and a lot of Cyber stories and a lot of Dalek stories. And
Ice Wally stories.
Yeah, and they sort of wasted a lot of the potential that they had. Then by the time they bring Bill in, the stories are still kind of heavy. So it wasn't, it was like the emphasis was all wrong. And then they spent too many stories kind of being, you know, dour, unfortunately. And, you know, then the overdoing it by having the Doctor come in playing the guitar on a tank.
Oh, that was
it's just trying too hard. It's trying too hard.
Yeah,
so by the time they finally got half of it right, it was already too late. They should have moved. They should have had everything in 2 stories, and after a year and a half of Clara, they should have started taking her away and bringing in another companion.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
And I think that actually would have saved the show.
Yeah.
At that time.
The show didn't die.
Of course it didn't die.
No, of course
It
it didn't.
undercut Peter Capaldi. The BBC made a steady effort to not control his product and to undercut him.
Right.
I mean, they weren't trying. Anyway.
Well, the other issue too, unfortunately, is that he also got known for Malcolm Tucker, and while he's fun and he is a wonderful actor, he's wonderful in everything he does. He got known for playing kind of dour characters, and that didn't help the show. That didn't help.
Have you ever seen Paddington 2?
No, I didn't see that part. But
Paddington 1 and Paddington 2 are.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is,
Paddington 2.
but what I'm saying is, he's known for Malcolm Tucker, which is a character that swears constantly. He was known for the Three Musketeers. Did a wonderful job. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a happy character. And then he got known for the 12th Doctor, which was not a happy character. So he kind of got typecast.
Yeah, and the problem is that the Doctor really only ever works as a happy character.
No.
That's why Jodie's happy. No, I think the Doctor works best when the Doctor's happy, more happy happy and less. Because Tom Baker was happy. Tom Baker.
No,
was,
but the last 2 seasons he was actually kind of depressed when you think about the contrast.
Yeah, but that's why. But that's why he went bad.
Right, but no, I don't think he. But remember, he also had a lot of companions, so they were able to balance it. They were able to balance it. So
they were coming and going all the time.
Yeah.
So
he got a robot. He got two female companions, and then he got
male
Patrick, and then he got Turlo. So yeah,
you'd be depressed if Patrick, wouldn't you?
He got a lot of different kinds of characters to mix with.
Yeah.
And I mean, anyway, I've said my piece about it, and so let's move on because this is getting kind of long.
Our cast long never.
Yeah, always. So
yep. So we'll wrap this up now. So I'd like to thank you two for joining me. I'd like to thank you for watching. Tell us what you think about this episode of Series 11 or any episode of Series 11. Tell us your hopes and thoughts about the New Year's Day special when Doctor Who will be back for a special, on New Year's Day, which is
Resolution,
which will be a bit different because it's not on Christmas Day. But
it's all about New Year's resolution. Get it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yes, it's good.
Oh, really?
No,
It's called resolution. It might be.
How long did it take you to do that one out?
Yeah.
Wow! Yay!
So, hit that subscribe button. Look after yourself. Take care, and we will see you next time.